Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. My must draft running backs for your best ball leagues on Underdog or DraftKings, for your season long leagues if you're playing with your friends and family, if you're playing in your national leagues. We're going to go over 5 running backs that I believe are going to outperform their ADP. They're just way too cheap. So, what are we waiting for? Let's go!
He's a legend.
First thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is rotowire.com. If you click the link right down in the pinned comment, you will get a free 10-day subscription. Everything behind the paywall on RotoWire is yours by using rotowire.com/smizzle. They've partnered with us here on the stream and at the YouTube channel. You can use their ADPs. You can check out their best ball cheat sheets. Lots of great articles. DFS, sports betting, and fantasy. rotowire.com/smizzle. Follow all the instructions. Once you get there, you get yourself a free 10-day membership behind their paywall. Excellent thing to try out. Costs you absolutely nothing. Go give them a look. Now, looking at my first running back on this list, you saw him on the cover. You saw him on the thumbnail. You saw him at the beginning of the video. It's Antonio Gibson. He is absolutely being underdrafted, and he's also had kind of a rocket ship attached to him based on where he's been going in drafts. Like, you look at his game logs, and yeah, he didn't do as much as people kind of thought he would last year, right? There were a lot of bust weeks. There were also a few boom weeks, as we see here against Dallas. I mean, everybody boomed against Dallas, right? But he was utilized last year primarily as a ball carrier. As I've mentioned a ton of times before, a target is worth 2.8 carries. So because of how bad he was in the passing game, right? He was not good in terms of pass blocking, right? So Antonio Gibson did really great last year in terms of like PFF grades and everything. Like, these are rushing grades. If I come in here and I find the pass blocking grades, which I could get to in just a minute, you're going to see, like, he was one of the worst in the league in terms of pass blocking ability. Spent a lot of time playing wide out in college, and that's where we thought that his value was going to be, right? That is exactly where we thought his value was going to lie, was the fact that he was going to catch a lot of passes, but he was not utilized, at least not consistently enough in the passing game because of his pass game inefficiency. He'd cede all that work to JD McKissic in the pass game last year. I think that McKissic is still going to have a role as a 30% guy in this offense, but Antonio Gibson should handle 65 to 70% of the running back snaps. They have been enamored with the work that he put in the offseason in terms of fixing his pass blocking inefficiencies and getting himself ready to go for this year. His ADP right now is in the second round. He's going as the RB10. We can go look over on RotoWire. I've sorted by running backs, half PPR. This is Underdog's ADP. He is going right here at pick 15.9. It is trending upwards, right? But I think that this guy has an obvious chance, and it's trended upwards because Jonathan Taylor has slid a little bit. A lot of the other running backs have slid a whole lot on this chart. Saquon had been sliding from like the top 6 down to like 11. So it's not that he's leapfrog guys. It's that other guys have come down a little bit. He was being drafted behind Joe Mixon before. So he's moved up a little bit in terms of positional ADP and overall ADP. But of these second round running backs, right, that are in this range right here, I think Antonio Gibson is the one that has the most realistic chance to be the RB1 on the year. Not an RB1, right? Not one of the top 10 or 12 guys. The RB1 on the season. If, and this is a big if, Ron Rivera's offense, we know what that has done for running backs in the past. We've seen CMC do amazing things. He likes to give his running back, if he is a multi-talented guy, a ton of snaps. We remember like 95 to 98% of the running back snaps in Carolina under Ron Rivera were basically CMCs. I'm only projecting like 70% of the snaps to go to Gibson because they do have other guys like McKissick who can perform in that role. But if Gibson has improved enough in pass blocking, and he is going to be able to log 4+ targets per game every single week, in addition to the fact that this is a team that's going to thrive on running game and defense and plays in a division against teams that do not have a great ability to stop opposing running backs, especially those who can catch the football, Antonio Gibson could log enough play and is big enough to get those inside the 5 carries that he could end the season as the overall RB1. And of the guys that are in that RB10 through RB15 range in terms of their draft ADP and positional ADP, I think he's your guy. One of 4 rookie running backs over the past decade to run for a touchdown in 5 straight games, and he ranked 5th amongst running backs in receptions per route run. So we know how good of a pass catcher he has been in college and what he projected to be. When he runs routes, when he's in on passing downs, they throw him the ball and he does a great job in it. So hoping he plays more in 2-minute drill, hoping he plays more on 3rd downs than he did last year. And all signs through camp and OTAs do tend to point us in that direction. Antonio Gibson could be a 2nd-round league winner for you in the kind of like in the same mold as Todd Gurley when he was being drafted at the back end of the 2nd round, and he was the RB1 that year. And coming into that year, it was, I think it was the first season that, like, it was Goff's rookie year. It was McVay's first year as coach, that people were like, oh, there's no way. And JJ Zacharyson, friend of the show, was one who went out on that limb with Todd Gurley. I'm kind of going out on that limb with Antonio Gibson this year, that if he has that top percentile outcome for him, he could end the season as the RB1. My next guy, one of my highest drafted players this season, Darrell Henderson Jr. Now look, I know that he's already more expensive than he was at the beginning of draft season when he was going in the 10th or 11th rounds, and I was basically snapping him up because he was, as much as I draft running back and chill strategy, or you know what nerds call modified zero RB. That's the worst term ever. It's either hero running back or running back and chill, where you draft a running back early, then you wait and you take a bunch of 40% guys. And the earlier you draft, it's probably better to go with that. If you're drafting much later, you're still drafting guys for upside, but we can get into that discussion of when and why you should go zero running back and when and why it doesn't make as much sense. It's a whole other video. Henderson Jr. is taking over the Rams running back job because Cam Akers is hurt. His ADP right now is 48.5. Can come back over here. Right about where we said he was going to slot in, right? That running back 18 to running back 20. That's where he's being drafted, 46.8. So he's kind of gone up in the past day or two, where he was being drafted in the 5th round. Now he's the back end of the 4th round. Cam Akers was being drafted like 10th overall. And you can feel that Darrell Henderson isn't, right? We love playing the red team. Everybody does. Well, here's what Darrell Henderson isn't. He isn't Cam Akers. And Darrell Henderson has never had like a 250 touch season. So I'm not sure that he can do it. Well, okay. Nobody's had a 250 plus touch season until they've had a 250 plus touch season. But what we do know is that the Rams run the ball inside the 5-yard line way more than most teams do. They get close and they just pound the football. Last year, they had 3 running backs that would do that between Cam Akers and Henderson and Malcolm Brown, who's now shipped off to Miami. There's nobody left. So even if you think that Darrell Henderson isn't going to get a ton of touches, maybe they do bring somebody in. It's very possible that at the end of camp, they're going to bring somebody in, a veteran, somebody who's on the, Le'Veon Bell or Duke Johnson, or maybe they trade for a backup running back from another team who's going to get cut or something like that. Very realistic to think that they bring somebody in to be the 30 or 40% guy in that offense. But make no mistake, Darrell Henderson's going to be the 60% guy. And the 60% guy in a Rams offense that projects to be a top 5 or top 3 offense in the league, that's just an absurd price. He's being drafted as the 19th running back off the board, when the guy before him who got hurt was being drafted as the 7th running back off the board. Gleefully. I still think even with the hike in price from that ADP where he was at, right? At like 10th and 11th round, people are getting sticker shock. I can't draft Darrell Henderson in the 4th or 5th. The hell you can't. And you should. Now, if you're in a big tournament, like Best Ball Mania over on Underdog Fantasy, I get it. You're like, well, I can't get in there because a lot of people like me have 40% of their exposure to him in the 10th and 11th round, and I'm chasing, so I have to differentiate. But if you're playing in the puppy or if you're playing in the big dog, those tournaments weren't out before that Cam Akers injury. So his ADP in those tournaments is his ADP in those tournaments, and nobody has a discount. So Darrell Henderson, for me, at his current draft position, is way too cheap. Myles Gaskin's in the same boat. 6th round ADP, the 24th running back off the board, 66.2 is his ADP. We can kind of scroll down to him here on on RotoWire, see the guys that he's being drafted around right here. Looks like they haven't updated for the day. It's close, but they have him as the 24th. Yeah, I have him as 24th. 66.2 is what I had on Underdog site here. The running back 24. They have him at 66.1. When I wrote it down this morning, he's now at 66.1 because Underdog is updating basically whenever drafts are done. And then they pull from them. So 66.1, you can see that how quickly RotoWire updates their things. Being drafted as the butt end of the RB2s in 12-team leagues. All Myles Gaskin did last year, what do y'all have against this dude? All Myles Gaskin did last year when he was healthy was produce. What is there not to like? Is he going to carry the ball 25 times? No. You know what else? I don't care. I don't need a running back that's going to carry it 25 times. I want a running back that's going to carry it 18 plus times, 15, 18 plus times, and have usage in the passing game. A guy who gets 22 carries and no targets is not as good to me as a guy who gets 18 carries and 4 targets. This guy is better, and he's being drafted as the running back 24 with an ADP in the middle of the 6th round. So you can get an awful lot of value on Myles Gaskin, who dipped, dodged, ducked, dived, and whatever the hell the line is from, dodgeball. He completely avoided, danced through all the raindrops. Yes, Malcolm Brown did move from the Rams to Miami. And he might cede some of those inside the 5 carries to him. Very possible. If you want to draft Malcolm Brown as an 18th round draft pick, go ahead as your RB5 or RB6. Go ahead. Rubber stamp. Love it. Approval. But that does not mean that Myles Gaskin is also not a value at his spot, where if you're going wide receiver heavy early, if you're looking at Myles Gaskin in a hero running back or a running back and chill sort of draft strategy where you're going running back in the 1st round and then wide receiver, you can come up with Myles Gaskin as your RB2 in round 6 and get an awful lot of value there. Moving a little bit later, this guy is really shooting up draft boards right now for a couple of reasons. Aaron Jones has been dinged in camp. I'm recording this on August the 11th. So if you're watching this saying, well, he's the backup. Yeah, I know that. I'm drafting him as a 40% guy, right? We're not drafting him at the same place that Aaron Jones is being drafted, right? He's been moving up into the 1st round, being drafted somewhere between the 7th pick and the 11th pick, right? But he's been hurt, right? Wasn't practice. Got a hamstring injury. Oof. If Aaron Jones, first of all, we know that they don't go with just one guy in that offense, right? That's just not how they play things. So knowing that that's not how they play things, AJ Dillon being drafted in the 9th round right now with a 99.3 ADP as the 33rd running back off the board. 40% of the snaps at running back in the Packers offense was already slated to go to AJ Dillon. They've said they're not going to use him in the preseason in their games, which means that they already know what they have and they already know what his role is. Aaron Jones has been extremely efficient inside the 5-yard line on his goal line touches and was robbed last year because of the fact that they threw the ball so much from the 1 and the 2-yard line. If that changes this year and normalizes, let's say, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw for 9+% of his pass attempts going for touchdowns, that means that these running backs are going to get a little bit more love inside the 5-yard line. And as big as AJ Dillon is, and as much of a hammer as he is going to be in short yardage and around the goal line, he already has value and should project to produce a profit over his current ADP. If Aaron Jones has a hamstring injury that's lingering and misses any time during the regular season, AJ Dillon becomes a must start for you and a top 12 running back on any week that he is the lead dog in that Packers offense. So if you're drafting him as a late round guy, and right now he's going in the 9th round, but his ADP is shooting up, he's somebody that I fully have been endorsing and clicking these last 2 guys since Darrell Henderson took over the Rams job, when I, at that Cam Akers injury point where I was always like 50% of the time clicking Darrell Henderson in the 11th, 10th, and 11th round. Those clicks have now gone to AJ Dillon and my next player, Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray gets no love because Alvin Kamara gets all the love. So his 12th round ADP is the 41st running back off the board, and 128th overall is his current ADP. Again, a 40% guy who will have a role. Next, who the hell else do they have to give the ball to? Alvin Kamara can't handle the ball 40 times a game. Mike Thomas is hurt. Every other wide receiver is hurt. They lost Emmanuel Sanders. Traquan Smith is injured. Callaway is their best wide receiver right now. And the Trout. Adam Troutman is their best pass catching guy. So Latavius Murray comes in carrying a ton of value along with him. 6 straight seasons with at least 5 touchdowns scored. That's tied for the longest active streak with Gurley and Cooper. And his yards per carry has gone up in each of the last 3 seasons. You want an extra little added bonus? Right now, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the New Orleans Saints. Is it going to be Jameis Winston, or is it going to be Taysom Hill? If it's Taysom Hill, let's just pontificate on the ifs here. If it's Taysom Hill, in weeks 11 through 14, Alvin Kamara had 50 carries for 237 yards in that Saints offense under Taysom Hill when he was under center. And Latavius Murray had 40 carries for 203 yards. Not a 60-40 split. Not a 70-30 split in favor of Alvin Kamara. They were a run-heavy offense with Taysom Hill. And with the wide receivers that they have out and the pass catcher questions that they have, it would not shock me at all if they start the season with Taysom Hill under center, which means that Latavius Murray is going to blow away his current ADP and probably get you 10 to 15 touches per game early in the season if Taysom Hill is under center. That's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe, drop a click on RotoWire down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
He's a legend.